the verdict. Do I keep it and do I save it? Or do I scrap it and just take the gearbox? Well, right. Well, the gearbox is out, so we are actually going to go ahead with the restoration on this vehicle. And the reason why I've decided to go ahead with the restoration on this vehicle and not swap this gearbox with the one on the red T4 is because this one is slightly different, and it actually has this release little cable for when you put it into reverse, which my one doesn't have. I could swap it all over, it's not a problem, but I'd have to replace that and the bottom part of the linkage as well underneath the gear selector, so that would have to be replaced. I'm not going to bother with any of that, so we're just going to replace the concentric slave cylinder because that is what is leaking, and it does make a horrendous noise when you fire her up and on tick over, and it does sound like dual mass flywheel. So while we're here, we're just going to rip this out, put a new dual mass flywheel clutch kit in, the whole lot, brand new, whack that straight in, new concentric slave cylinder, and then we'll put it all back together. There is no how-to. I'm not doing a guide on this one because everything has just been, everything's snapping, everything's seized. It's just been an absolute nightmare. I'm keeping track of all hours I'm spending on it as well, because people have said, you know, about keeping track, you got to work out how much it's going to cost. Yeah, so I will be keeping track of all hours that I'm putting onto it. So yeah, we've got Harry behind the camera who's actually helping out, and it was Harry holding the gearbox for me while we were able to lower it down. Yeah, good fun. So I guess we'll get this swapped out, get that clutch swapped out, dual mass flywheel, we'll get it back in. And if you want a how-to, and as we're talking about gearboxes, Ian Peck actually got in touch with me and he messaged me on Facebook, and he said he will have a look at the gearbox when I get it out. So as much as I want to continue the series of doing loads of work on this white T4, I think what we'll do is get this on the road, get it running, I can then use it, and then get the red T4 here, and then we'll do a little guide on a how-to to get your gearbox out. Oh right, yeah, actually, a little tip while we are doing this, I've used an engine crane to hold the engine, and the gearbox, I had the trolley jack, and then Harry on the rope. And I haven't had to wedge the engine forward at all or anything like that. Just by jacking it up with that crane has pulled the engine forward naturally. But it's out. Let's get on with it. Harry the apprentice, mate. Oh dear. See, it's much easier having someone else doing the work than me filming. You see, that would be a good idea actually with the T4. I could do all the filming with the red one. I could do all the filming and someone else could take the gearbox out for me. Harry's plans wasn't to come round and be doing this. Right, so you've got to do 60 Newton meters, and then it's got to be angle tightened another 90 degrees. So put a little bit of Tipex or something to mark every single bolt, and then turn them 90 degrees. Fun, isn't it?
Yeah, great fun. Well, that's all 60.
Lovely. I'll get, oh, well, yeah, we need to angle tighten that. Right, well I was just going through doing the editing and I noticed that I filmed a little clip of this. I completely forgot about doing this. I noticed that the caliper was on, it being twisted when the pads had been done. So all I've done was take the caliper off, spun it round, bolted it back on, spot on. This wire here, all I've done, just connected them two, and that has turned off the brake warning light. So that's the gearbox back in. It was actually quite hard work. Not gonna lie, wouldn't recommend doing that on your own, not unless you've got ramps and you've got all the tools. It was just hard work. I mean, it was good having Harry there, who could just take the weight of the back end of the gearbox with a bit of rope, while the main weight of it was on the trolley jack. But it was hard work. So the other problem we had, so it has now all been bled up, the clutch is fine, it all goes into gear, it drives, all the gears are fine, reverse is fine. The other issue we have now is that with the gears, it goes from first, second, and then into third. And with third gear, which is an absolute nightmare, because I did explain in the previous video, but that first was there, and then second, and then it was like I had to lean right forward for third, and then the same for fifth as well. So yeah, the linkage is an absolute nightmare. So what I'm going to do with the linkage, I've just gone through all my old stuff, and I've just found, well I say old, but it's new but old. And I've found these rubber bobbins, these little, I don't know what you'd call them, but they're for sort of like the air filter. I don't know if you noticed, but it doesn't have them. Someone's taken them off. So I found some of them. We're going to need some more. Obviously the ones underneath that hold the engine tray, they're knackered as well. But I found bushes kits. The bushes on this were fine, but like I was saying, with third gear, I've gone underneath and I found what the issue is, and it's one of these little buggers. So, as I've got a couple of them, I'm going to get underneath the van now and we'll swap them out, and hopefully that will make gear change a lot better, a lot closer. Yeah, and then we can crack on with the restoration. Right, okay. Thank you everyone that has subscribed. I've got a lot of new subscribers recently, so I appreciate every single one of you. This is where I need your feedback. I don't know what's best. What do you want to see? Do you want to see everything in detail? I mean, mechanical stuff, not so much. Jobs that I've already done. So like the timing belt, diesel pump timing, all of those things, I'm not really going to show you like a full video, because I've already got how-to videos out there on how to do the pump timing, cam belt, all that kind of stuff. So things like that, I think the mechanical side of things, we're just going to brush over. Obviously, I'll tell you what's been done, and then we'll go through with the whiteboard. Oh, we could actually do that now. We'll get the whiteboard out, and we'll set you up in the back. Yes, whiteboard. Let's go through costs and time. So how long I've spent on it so far, and the cost of everything. And we're going to keep track of all of this through the whole build, from start to finish. Yeah, we'll just go from there. Excellent. Right, let's jump in, get the whiteboard out. Let's go. So we are in the back. This is my whiteboard, absolutely perfect, isn't it? So this will serve the purpose for writing everything down. So we're going to start off with breaking down the prices of everything. Ooh, purchase of the van. So we paid $600 for the van, and the only thing I've sold so far was the rock and roll bed, which I sold the rock and roll bed for £100. I know, absolute steal, but I just wanted a shot of it. So £100, so that brings it down to £500 total for the van. So that's what we paid for the van. Right, that's what it's cost so far. Now, dual mass flywheel, and clutch kit, dual mass flywheel clutch kit. That was a whopping £541 14 pence. Now, along with also replacing the dual mass flywheel, the clutch, we also had to replace the concentric slave cylinder. So the slave cylinder, was £167. Right. Also, when we had the gearbox out, Harry did notice that on the actual gearbox, on the where the speed sensor is, what works out the speed and all the rest of it, what sends that back, it was actually cracked around here, and then on further inspection, it was cracked and it just fell apart. It was so brittle. So we replaced that, and that was £13.95. So that's all we spent on the vehicle so far, which at the moment leaves us at 1,222. What was it? 122 something. Anyway, I can't remember now. 11209, isn't it? 09. Cheers, Harry. You got a better memory than me. I couldn't, because we've already filmed this. We went through it and I worked it out, and I was £100 out, and it made me look stupid. So I wasn't having it, and I made us record it and do it again. I was just trying to be smart and do it on camera, and it didn't work. Anyway, so that's what it's cost so far, and also a few comments about keeping track of how long I spend on the jobs. Now, what I am going to be doing, not only keeping track of everything that I'm spending on it, I'm also keeping track of the hours, the job description, and the date that I done the job. So at the moment, so far, you can see that it took me 2 hours to strip and clean the rear of the van. But, you know, I also had Craig's help for a couple of hours as well. So you could say technically we spent 4 hours on it. Replacing the dual mass clutch, the dual mass flywheel, the clutch, concentric slave cylinder, that was a 14-hour job, 2 days, quite a long job. I also had Harry for 4 hours of one of them days, and he helped with the gearbox, which was only a couple of hours, but yeah, in total 14 hours plus another man for another 4 hours. So you could say technically 18 hours for that. And again, I replaced those gear linkage bushes that we saw earlier on. That only took me half an hour. Wasn't a big job at all. So in total, we're at 16 and a half hours. And then what I'm going to do is, over in this corner up here, I think we'll just keep track of 16.5 hours, isn't it? So we just keep track of that, so we know how much time we spent on it, how much money we spent on it, and then everyone knows where we stand. Wonderful. But if I want to do this show van, we want to keep this figure as low as possible, so that when it comes to selling it, I can make as much money as possible. If I can actually make a profit out of this van, maybe get another van, and we can, you know, maybe snowball into, you know, something new ventures of more vans and more content potentially. I don't know, but we'll see. Thank you very much for watching. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here. And again, at the end of every single video, we're going to go through this while we're working on this white van, and we're going to keep track of everything and log everything. So yeah, lovely. Stick around and see how it all works out, because this is going to be an interesting build. Wonderful. Right, thank you very much for watching. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.